storyboard, if we're on the animation page, I can just go to Storyboard Template and open this up. And then I can download this and edit it on my computer, or I can print it out and draw on it with a pencil or a pen. So I'm going to click the download here and download this to my computer. And then I'll click on this folder here. We can see there it is in my download folder. So I'm going to move this over to my project folder, which is right here. So I'll throw this onto the desktop and then just add it into here. And then there's a few different ways I can edit this. I could edit in Photoshop. I could edit in Illustrator. Really depends on what you're most comfortable with. I'm going to open this with Illustrator because it's going to be easy to make some shapes, add some text, and just go through the basic steps of the storyboard. So what I'm going to do is, once I get this loaded up, I'm going to start with my first frame again of my little shape flying in, and then the end of my animation will be the text excitement, or maybe I'll say it's the fade out. So I already have a few frames set up, and then I'll just kind of figure out what do I want to happen in the middle. You might already have a story in mind, in which case you can just kind of block it out in the storyboard. If you don't, then this is a good process to use to add it. So here's my Illustrator, and I'm just gonna add a couple layers. So you can see that it actually sees the shapes in here, so you could actually edit the storyboard as well if you wanted to make some changes to the layout. But I'm gonna go ahead and lock this layer and call this Storyboard Template. So that way I won't accidentally make any edits. So then I'll just make a couple new layers, and I'm gonna add drawings and text. Okay, so there isn't going to be a lot of dialogue unless you're kind of taking this in a different direction. So I don't really need a lot of text in here. I'm just going to start out with that. So I'm just going to use some text just to fill out the basics of the storyboard. So up here in this line, we want the title of the project. So I would say animated words and emotions. If you have a specific title that you want to use, go ahead and throw it in there. I'll make this a little bit bigger and just move it down here. And then there's no real dialogue, but I can use the text, the lines down here, to kind of explain what's going on visually. So normally this would be either camera directions or stage directions or dialogue that goes on these lines. So actually, let's draw stuff first, and then we'll come back here. So I'm going to lock my text layer, select my drawings layer, and we're going to start out. We have this like little shape, or we have a fade in. I could write that down here, or we could start with our shape. And for my shape, I don't really care about recreating the shape exactly the same. I'm just going to use a little star tool, and I'm just going to put one over here. Then I'll hold Option and drag it over here. Oops. Let's try that again. So I'll hold Option and make a copy to drag it over there. And then maybe I'll just like draw a little line like that. Just something that shows like basically what's happening in this section of our animation. So we have, that's our first section, and then at the very end, I'll have maybe a fade out or my text. So at the very last scene, I'll grab my text tool and I'll write excitement. That's the emotion that I'm portraying. And this doesn't have to look like, I'm not even going to bother matching the font or anything like that. This isn't about creating the details. This is just about creating the general approach. And so then I'll just use my brush and draw a little line like that. And that gives, I could hand this to an animator and they could basically say like, okay, this is the basic goal of this part of the animation. And so I can recreate that pretty easily. And so now we just want to create more excitement. Maybe I'll have like a rest here to build some anticipation. So maybe I'll have nothing happen here, and then maybe here I'll have a few shapes. So I'll draw another star shape and move this over here. I don't have the fill on this one. I don't even really care about that. It's really just about getting the basic idea here. So then I'll show that there's now, so I've got my shape. Now I'll hold Option and duplicate this, and maybe I'll have like 3 shapes, and then I'll grab my brush and, you know, have them all animating around, and then maybe I'll change their direction. So I'll get the star shape again and draw a few of these. I'm kind of going fast just for the purpose of the demo, but obviously when you're coming up with a story, you can spend a little bit more time thinking about what you want to happen in the animation. For some reason, I'm not able to duplicate this guy. There we go. Okay, so now I'll have some stars going this way, maybe going around. I'll just draw some different motion paths. And then I'll have one more scene where maybe the stars get really big or something like that. I don't know that I'm definitely going to do all of this, but I'm just going to kind of plan this out. And I'll maybe draw this in a big circle. Just kind of draw different parts of the scene. So then I can use the little text lines to kind of give a sense of what to expect for the animator. So I'm going to lock my drawings and go back to my text. And I'm just going to get the text tool and make sure I have my text layer selected. And I'll just write one shape enters the scene. Oops. I need this box to be just a little bit bigger. And then I'll do another one here. Rest to build anticipation. So we're just kind of writing out what's happening in each scene. Several new shapes enter. Just move this down. And then shapes get larger and more excited. And I'll just move this down like that. Oops. I got to use the text tool for that. Okay, I don't know why it's doing that, but that's fine. Let's just leave it. And then one last big shape. And then the word excitement at the end. Okay, so we've got our storyboard. That's pretty much all we really need here. I am going to post this on the Open Lab, and so in order to do that, I can save this as a PDF, but when I post a PDF on the Open Lab, you won't be able to see it. You'll be able to download it, but you won't actually be able to read it on the Open Lab. So I don't want just a PDF. I want to also export a JPEG. If you're printing it out and drawing stuff with a pen or pencil, you can just take a picture and then upload that onto the Open Lab. So if you want to do that, we can go over how to do it, but I assume that you'll be able to figure out a lot of that on your own. Anyway, so I'm just going to export this as a JPEG. So I'll choose JPEG here. And I can still use Storyboard because since they're different file formats, they're not going to overwrite each other. And I'm going to click Use Artboard so it doesn't crop in a weird way. And then I'll just click Export. I'm going to make the quality a little bit higher because I don't think it's going to be that big. Okay, it's asking me to do all this stuff. I'm just ignoring all that. And there we go. We have our storyboard.jpg. So we just want to kind of map out what the sort of plan of the animation is. We don't have to follow it exactly. So if your animation and your storyboard aren't exactly the same, that's fine. I'm not going to take points off for that. But the storyboard is just a way of communicating what's happening in the animation to other people that we might be working with, like animators and sound designers and script writers and everybody else. So that's our storyboard. That's going to go on the Open Lab post with everything else. I'm going to stop this video here and start a new one because I'm going to go over a different topic, but I am going to continue working with the plan that I've created with my storyboard so far.